And we are live. We are live. And so unfortunately today, guys, welcome to the Games Talk Live first. Today we were supposed to have Chris Grinnell on the show, and that's what was posted out there. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it due to illness, but I do have a very special guest in the house. Nonetheless, the show must go on. Mr. Colt Eastwood is in the house there drinking a beverage of his choice.
Unfortunately, we have Colt Eastwood.
Unfortunately. No, I said we have a very special guest.
Fonz?
Oh, I'm good. I've been scrambling for a guest, scrambling to do these 5 questions because I tailored, 5 questions to Chris. Of course, that's out the window. All my questions and everything out the window, people. We're going on the fly here today. So
I know
it's
Chris
really,
well enough to maybe even like sort
you're
of.
going to emulate him, like impersonate him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the show.
I won't even do the accent. He's got that awesome, incredible Liverpool accent. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah, he is awesome.
I can't do that.
But yeah, it's just one of those things, folks, you're going to have to deal with today. It's, just a surprise type of show. Hey, it's not Chris Grinnell, but it's a very well-dressed Colt Eastwood. Look at that suit. Man, you wear it well. So where's the jacket? Man, this was supposed to be a formal affair.
No jacket today. I didn't wear my full suit, but it's in the other room. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
hey,
looks good nonetheless. So welcome on a Sunday, people. Thank you for being here. I see a bunch of great people in the chat. Risk It for the Biscuit, Hargeet, Shani, Eternal Umbra. What's up, brother? Nix. So many good people here, man. Thank you for showing up today. I appreciate it. Especially with it, when a guest has to cancel on you and you put that post out, people are probably thinking, oh, he's not going to have a show. Nope, Colt's here. He saved the day. Seriously, you saved my butt. Thank you.
Fonz never gives up. That's the good part.
I try not to.
Hit the like for Fonz. Like, do me a favor.
Please. Hit the like button.
Move the chat out of the way. Like I don't know how many people here raise your hand if you're watching podcasts on a phone. That's the best place for me to watch these podcasts, and you got to move the chat out of the way, all your favorite people, and then just take a second, hit the thumbs up, and then come back, and Fonz will be waiting for you, right?
And of course, if you're listening to this on demand, you'll know that what happened, what transpired, because you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of those streaming platforms out there. Games Talk Live is there. And of course, if you want to join the channel here, you can be part of the crew that gets scrolled across here on the bottom every Sunday. And thank you guys very much for that. I appreciate all the support I get. These guys are awesome. Special thanks to all of you guys. And so, Colt, now you've been here a couple of times, and we've talked about sort of your past, your history in gaming and stuff. For people that might not know, run down for me, like, what got you started into gaming?
Well, the crazy thing is I got started into gaming when I was very, very young, like maybe 6 or 7. My parents bought us an Intellivision by Mattel.
Ooh.
It was the superior console to the Atari at the time, but I didn't
know
know that.
No, we're getting a console war over that. It was a great console. Yeah, I played. My neighbor had one.
As far as I knew, like both consoles had tons of games, and so I knew as a really little kid growing up in the 80s that video games were super, super fun. And I don't know what happened to that in television, but when I was about 10 or about 12 years old, my parents bought an NES. And that Sunday night, I played it all weekend. And my mom came in the room and said, you need to get ready to go to bed. You have school tomorrow. And I was like, the reality hit me. I don't ever want to go to school ever again. So I've just been bit by that bug. And the funny part of the story was when I was in my 20s, like from high school through my 20s, I was really not gaming at all. I was going to college, and then I had a family, and we, got a house, and it was just super busy. And I tried to stay away from video games as much as possible. And, but when I came back, which was 07 and 08, that's kind of how I am today. An absolute junkie for video games. I love them more than TV and movies, and a lot of eating.
A lot of people love them more than TV and movies nowadays. It's the biggest, fastest growing media out there. Like it's really surpassed movies and stuff for a lot of people. And all these older folks like ourselves are like the normal gamers now. Like we're the average gamers out there. I think the average gamer is probably in their mid to late 30s now.
Yeah, in the 30s, and 35 is the number I see a lot. And I know a lot of people, because I'm a little bit older than that, and I know a lot of people.
Oh yeah, we are a little bit older for sure, just a little bit,
just a bit. But I think I don't understand a lot of the culture in the 2000s. Like when you're talking the GameCube, the N64. The PlayStation 2, and then games on PC in the 2000s to 2010 era. I was kind of like checked out from gaming, so I missed on the big craze. It's one of the reasons why I give people a hard time about Banjo-Kazooie. Of course, you
missed out on that stuff, right?
I missed out on almost all of it. Like I sat down and played Mario Kart a couple times on the 64. I played GoldenEye a bunch with friends, but that was kind of like, when you get your friend who doesn't game to sit down and play something that's super popular. That was kind of me, like, oh, I'll do this and that. I just remember that N64 controller being absolutely awful. And I don't know. I did have a PlayStation 1 for about a year, and I played the crud out of like 5 or 6 games. It was my brother's, and then he took it away from me and pawned it off. And I just kind of was out of it for like 10 years. So people make, I don't understand.
It's a long time.
That craze of those games back then is kind of why I miss it. So
yeah, you don't have a lot of nostalgic feelings for so many games. 10 years. That's a decade, man. A decade of games you did not get to play and enjoy. But I was an adult during the time of like, Banjo and stuff like that. So I really didn't care for those games too much. Not that you can't play those type of games as an adult, but for me, I was more into the GoldenEye and, the Metal Gears and stuff like that.
I've always been like that. Like I loved Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1.
Red Faction. You missed out on Red Faction, didn't you?
I missed out on Red Faction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Red Faction.
There's a bunch of it's just crazy because people have this nostalgia, and I don't understand it because I wasn't a part of it. And if you go back and look at it, it's like, you got these weird characters with no fingers. It's like, it's really good now. I mean, people are complaining those games look so good now.
Except for, you're looking at some of these games like Rockstar looking at you with Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition. Remember, they had fingers, the first one that, were like that together.
They were like square paws.
And they still are, I think.
Well, now they've got fingers, but they're not motion. So like CJ will go.
So they're just,
he'll go like this instead of like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that translates.
This is not the sign language hour. We don't know sign language. I apologize to people out there. And we're not throwing up gang signs for sure. We're just describing some video games that were lacking back in the day. But they didn't lack in fun factor, that's for sure. Grand Theft Auto that series is one of your favorites, right? Of all time.
Yeah. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I don't know how I played it back in the day. The gunplay's awful, but when you're in the car and stuff, it's great.
Loved it, man. Just cruising around, listening to that soundtrack was just amazing. Best soundtrack out there out of any video game. That soundtrack was just amazing for like real songs and stuff. That soundtrack, you had Vice City soundtrack was really good amazing. Because we're 80s guys.
By the way, I think almost every single song made it into that trilogy. I remember people said, well, like Welcome to the Jungle and some other couple of songs didn't make it. Welcome to the Jungle is in San Andreas. I don't know where this information came from, but they just missed a huge. Let's close this topic, Fonz. Yes. I'm sure nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about it.
They missed a huge opportunity to spend like 3 or 4 years and totally remaster that and make it timeless for the ages. They blew it. They really blew it.
Yeah, they could have really done something special there for sure. Let's go ahead and get into our 5 questions here. How about that? I didn't even get it all set up. Yes, I've been freaking, like I said, guys, man, I'm all confused today. Anyways, we do have 5 questions still. I was able to scramble and get some 5 questions for you, my friends. So let's see how you fare today. 5 questions. All right, Colt. You laugh every time we do this, but
it's
so
what? Brilliant, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Give you credit for this, man.
All right. So let's start with the music. First question. Who is the main protagonist in Gears of War 5?
I always have to remember which one's protagonist and antagonist. Antagonist meaning the villain.
Yes.
The main protagonist is Kate Diaz.
Correct, sir. You should. Of course, you should have gotten that one.
Too.
I think she was great too. He's known as Dr. Robotnik to some and Dr. Eggman to others. What popular video game franchise does he come from, sir?
Shoot. I want to say Ratchet and Clank.
No! Sonic the Hedgehog franchise.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
Never had a Sega. Go ahead.
What was the first game in the Red Dead series?
Why are you asking me this, Fonz? I can tell you everything about that game. What was the first game in the Red Dead series?
Game.
Red Dead Revolver.
Correct, sir. Including,
Red Dead Redemption.
all right, so here's the one you might not get. Including mobile, how many games are there in the Ratchet and Clank franchise? Including mobile.
Well, I did a video about this in 2018 about milk franchises and why they're okay because they're popular. And I have this number in my head, and if I add Rift apart, I think, and I'm kind of have to guess because it's by memory. I'm not looking it up. No hands, no phone. 17.
Correct.
Yes!
Holy crap, he got it. I did not realize that. And there's only two games were on mobile, by the way. Only two.
Yeah, it's just funny how people say all the time, like, oh, milk franchise, how many Halo games? I'm like, well, there's like 8, maybe 9.
Yeah.
Maybe 10. I don't know. There's not that many Halo games, but yeah.
I couldn't even believe when I looked it up. I was like, there's 17 Ratchet and Clanks?
Yeah, and there's like
It's
14
insane.
God of War games, 15 with the next one. Yeah, I mean, I got to say, milk franchises are milk for a reason because people love them and they want another one. Bring them on.
And how many banjos were there? 2, 3?
3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo
Okay.
Nuts and Bolts, Banjo.
Oh, yeah. They're Banjo
Rides
Tooie,
Again.
and all that.
Tooie,
Yeah.
Banjo Tooie,
Banjo
Banjo
Fooey, Banjo Kung Fooey.
Banjo Orders Takeout. Just a bunch of great ones.
Yeah.
Was that it? Was that all?
Yeah.
All the questions?
No. You have the subjective question. I can't ask you your favorite experience because you've already known that.
Get me nervous.
No. You don't need the music for this one. I always turn it off for this. Anyways, this one is, if you had to pick just one favorite game this generation, what would it be currently?
In the Xbox Series and PS5 generation?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. That I've played so far. Okay, hold on. I'm coming around the corner here. Man, it would probably be Forza Horizon 5.
Forza Horizon 5.
Forza Horizon 5, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Jeff Keighley doesn't agree with you. Says you're wrong. I'm just kidding, Jeff. It's I know you're not voting. But no, that's funny. 100 reviewers and voters don't agree with you. Obviously.
It is kind of weird. We had so many games this year, and if you're on Xbox, there's a whole bunch of exclusives and timed exclusives, but it's kind of hard to say, Fonz, because Psychonauts 2 really affected me in a lot of cool ways, and The Ascent was like a new experience for me that I really enjoyed, although it's like it didn't have like a story that I followed along really well.
Yeah. There were so many good games so far this generation. This past year, that's what I've been telling people. Like when people are saying that, the gaming awards, they're looking at all those games and saying that's not very good. This should be there. All those games are good. There's so many good games out there right now. I've played through so many good games. Psychonauts 2. What was the one? I can't even remember it. The one with the little penguin.
Love Death's Door.
Death's Door. Death's Door was amazing. Yeah. And that personally is my game of the year, but Psychonauts.
And we really enjoyed Cyberpunk as well, but like
I did
hold up, yeah.
I think it holds up. Cyberpunk is a fantastic RPG. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't play it because it was unplayable on last gen hardware, and not many people had the Series X at the time or the PlayStation 5. With that patch, I heard a lot of people are excited for the patch come I think at the beginning of next year, they're saying it's going to drop. I think February.
There is a game
or January. I don't know.
There is a game I've played this year that was really super good and really fun that hopefully we'll get to talk about in the future.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just been a really good start of the generation already, and Xbox has barely even come out of the gate with their first party stuff. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Let's talk about something that is going to be really good that is coming out next year. And of course, that is Starfield. We had a Starfield update last week. The team, Bethesda and Todd Howard, decided to make this new update video. They put it out there. And they're doing this like every week. They seem to be putting out a video talking about Starfield, getting the hype built up, the momentum. I get it. I get what they're doing. Cyberpunk did the same thing. But, you know, that kind of fell flat. But we're not going to go there because, again, that was a great game. But Starfield is shaping up, I think, to be something very special, Colt. I've said this in my videos. I'm really, really excited for this one. Todd Howard seems to have a different demeanor and a swagger when he talks about Starfield. Right. You know, when he talks about other games, it seems more, and I said this on Gaz's show yesterday, he seems more just robotic about it, like 16 times the detail and blah, blah, blah.
What is this game? Is that a Fallout 76?
That was
reference?
Fallout 76, yes. And it was
16 times the detail. That game doesn't even look as good as Fallout 4.
It doesn't even look half the detail of Fallout 4. Like, I don't know what's going there on there, but Starfield, when he talks about Starfield, you can feel the passion. You can see what he's trying to push out there, and that this is his baby. This is his, you know, what he wanted to make for so long. Not just him, but Bethesda, the whole development team. They've been wanting to make this game for 20 years, they say, and they just didn't have the tech to do so back then. They have it now. And even these consoles, they have it now. And it's shaping up to be something really special, I feel. So how are you feeling about Starfield right now and everything you're hearing about it? What's your thoughts?
Let's start with what you said at the very beginning, that, you know, Cyberpunk was really hyped up by the fans of CD Projekt Red. Bethesda hasn't projected out Starfield the same way. They're not saying it's going to change gaming. It's going to do what's never been done before, which Cyberpunk doesn't. You know, Cyberpunk's just a really great 360/Xbox One era game, in my opinion, that I really loved. So Starfield is basically, as Todd Howard told Ryan McCaffrey, that you and I both covered in videos, that it is basically, it's Skyrim in space. So everything you loved about what you do will affect how you build up your character and living and being immersed in the world in first person, interacting with the world, and how you come out and you have this opening of the vault or coming out of the dungeon moment a couple of times in Starfield. So it's really weird, Fonz, because I've been getting a lot of response from people on my YouTube channel, from the only vocal people are the people that don't like Todd Howard and think he isn't truthful. That's my nicest way of saying it. Or they're really salty that Bethesda is only on an Xbox console, but yet almost everywhere else.
I think that's what it is right there. I think that now that it's exclusive, people are now exclusive. Now that it's exclusive, I think people are just in their feelings about it. I think that it's just more fanboy fodder.
Can you play that again? Because that guy almost sounds like they asked Phil Spencer to do a cool voice.
Exclusive. It kind of does. It kind of sounds maybe like Phil Spencer and Colt Eastwood had a baby and he got that. Kind of, right? Kind of.
It really sounds like they coach Phil and they're like, say it really cool into the mic.
Say it really cool. Yeah. Flame, really quick. Flame says, don't sleep on Chorus, the game. It's so dang good. I've seen part of that, but I've never played it. You know what? I'll check it out for you, Flame. I'll see what that's about.
It's $40 on Xbox on the store.
Yeah.
Dealer was playing it and he had problems. There was no audio the whole time. He tried restarting the game. Bad. He tried restarting the console. I don't know why, but I didn't hear anybody else who had that problem. Blue Moon says,
Dealer has a problem with
dog is Colt.
He has a problem with kicking consoles down hills or something, I've heard. You know, I don't know, or making them fall off shelves. purposely.
The cool thing
or
about
something.
Dealer is he ninja kicks his consoles before he turns them on to make sure that they'll stand the test of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to him for doing drop tests on consoles. You see it on cell phones. Now it's going to be on consoles, I guess, courtesy of Dealer Gaming.
So the thing about Starfield, it's not No Man's Sky. It's not Star Citizen.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there. Because I feel like it could be sort of like No Man's Sky in that you do fly to different planets, but you have more of a narrative. You have more mechanics there. You have more gameplay mechanics. You have more to do.
One of the draws of No Man's Sky, and I put probably 10 hours into the game, one of the draws of No Man's Sky is that you go to these procedurally generated planets, so you can fly.
Yeah.
Right? But from what we've been hearing about Starfield is it's not procedurally generated worlds. They've built a lore. They've built a different ecosystem and different political factions, right? You talked about in your video about the factions. So when you go land on a planet, they want you to go there like they want you to go into a major city like a major city in Skyrim, like you go to Whiterun or whatever. I love that game. And those are curated, designed and created worlds with different types of people. So it should be more like Mass Effect, but Mass Effect is I don't know, man. That's a really tough comparison to make, right?
It's kind of like Mass Effect in that it's not procedurally generated, and it's you're going to different cities and stuff, or the Citadel, or wherever you're going to a specific spot.
Actually, it could. But you're right. It could be more like Mass Effect because you can land on planets where they did procedurally generate in the first game. But in Mass Effect 2, you were meant to go land on some planets where they made little mini missions. But I don't imagine that Starfield has you go on a planet that's empty and that it's supposed to create some experience there for you to collect resources and leave. But maybe because one of the problems with Starfield is like, are you going to go on this massive universe and there's not much there? But you just don't get that in a Bethesda game. Like, that it's going to be something like Fallout 4 and Skyrim. But when you think about Skyrim, it's so crazy. You think about how Skyrim evolved from Fallout 3. And then when you went to Fallout 4, you could feel some of the things that came from Skyrim and evolved into Fallout 4. So they're constantly building that engine to do more things. So
they did take a step back, because we talked about this yesterday on Go Live with Gaz and Miles. Miles had brought up the fact that he didn't care for Fallout 4 too much. He loves Fallout 3. And part of the reason is, the story just wasn't as good, and that's true. But also, there was less choice in the dialogue as well. And it seemed like they went away from that a little bit. And there was more choice, even more choice in New Vegas. And
there was almost no choice of dialogue. It was almost like you rolled the dice. Like,
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's different here for Starfield. I hope they do that for Starfield. I hope they expand upon the choices, because I like making those tough decisions, even though they are tough, and sometimes I fail at it, and in the end I lose somebody or whatever I didn't want to lose, and then I start over and I go way back hours. I don't know if you've ever done that in a game, but you go back just to pick that person up, make a different choice.
You would wait on the dialogue option in Fallout 3 or New Vegas because you knew that your choice of what you pressed X or whatever to press to say the dialogue, you knew it was going to make an impact on what happened next. But in Fallout 4, once in a while, the light yellow or the dark yellow would show up, and it just wasn't very often. You didn't really have to bring your speech up. There was so much. I don't know what the word is. There's really repercussions if you didn't build up your character a certain way, and you felt like you were missing out in the older games. I hope they bring that back.
Gone Mad says, I'm excited to hoard space junk. I need a thick ship. Yes, you do. You need a thick ship there. RDX Son of Fett. Yeah, that's kind of off topic, but he's talking about the PlayStation vice president getting caught in 4K. That's I understand, brother. He says would love to see more YouTubers call this stuff out, and there's a lot of people calling this out on Twitter and everything. But yeah, I'm not going to be discussing that today on today's show. But I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you being here. But yeah, as far as Starfield goes, Colt, I really feel very excited about this game because the fact that the possibilities here in a game like this, in a Bethesda game, are freaking limitless, really. Especially on the hardware we have now. Think about it. I mean, yes, of course, there's always limitations to tech and whatnot, but we can do things now with these consoles that have never been done before. I should say console. No consoles, because we got the Series S. Got the Series S as well.
Yeah, and it's not going to release on the Xbox One.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good, because we want to see this move forward. And I think the Series S is more capable than a lot of people give it credit for, by the way. So if you have a Series S, don't feel like you got a bad console or whatever. It's a very good little machine there. So I feel like this Starfield is going to be really good. I think Todd Howard being, really treating this as his baby, as I said. This is the game that he really wanted to make. I'm feeling like this could be a game sort of like Mass Effect, as we said, but I'm hoping they open it up more than just one city on a planet.
Oh,
Okay?
I mean, they've already shown 3 major outpost cities that they've shown concept art for. So.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that
those could be the only 3 main big ones. Then there's a lot of place to go there, but who knows?
Because I bring up like Mass Effect, for instance, when you played the first one and you're just going from planet to planet and you're mining basically, or you're going to a planet to do one objective and that's all there is there. Like everything else is barren. You just go over barren cliffs and whatever, but it's just
the main missions take place on like 5 major planets that's one big mission area.
And I'm not asking
it gives you
for
the illusion of that.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for 20 planets out there to go to or whatever, but you have some planets there. You have a few planets there that have a lot going on each planet. That's what I would like to see. So there is one, I don't know if you caught it, but there is one city that they did discuss. They're called Aquila. And in this city, they talked about how the people of the city were scared of all the creatures that lurked around the city, on the outsides of the city. And I'm wondering if that's just sort of a precursor to just letting us know a little bit about like, hey, you're going to be able to explore outside the city.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
And I look, when I watch things like this, I'm always looking for details like that, because sometimes they don't slip up. They purposely tell you things in a way to be like, okay, this is a hint at what you're going to be doing. But they don't flat out just come out and say, yes, you could explore these planets, but I think you can. I think you'll be able to on some. And I'm excited for that.
Now, what I think you and I should make a contrasting description of a game that you and I both really, really liked, Outer Worlds, which does a terrible job of like making you feel like you're exploring, because you go up to the computer map and you press a planet and then you get like a little animation out the window and you're immediately at a planet. You don't feel like they don't even have a third person cinematic camera like Mass Effect does, where the ship comes off and lifts off the planet that you're on, zooms out to the atmosphere and fades out, and then comes into the atmosphere of a new planet. Like, even though that can take like 8 seconds, it's an established shot. It's something you do in movies where you have to show you're leaving here, you're about to arrive, and this is where you're going to be. And you're so disjointed that you open the doors of your ship and the exterior looks different. You're like, okay, I guess I'm on planet Volcaron or whatever. And I love that. I love Outer Worlds, but it's such a small, tiny little village.
Yeah, it's more linear. For sure. It was more linear for sure. But this is going to be more expansive. They've already said that. This is going to be huge. And this is why my mind is just racing.
Do you think you'll be able to lift off in the ship and point it toward a waypoint and fly up to the sky?
I hope
No Man's
so.
Sky? Or do you think that you'll just pick a location and it'll just kind of control it for you? Like, it'll
give you a Destiny loading screen and you'll just see the ship flying
with the soft music while you wait for the loading screen on a hard drive
for 10 minutes on the PS4. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, but Yeah, and that's the thing. People, you don't understand. Like, I can go on for days about Starfield because I really am so excited for this game, and I just think about the possibilities, like what we're going to be able to do, and all the choices you're going to be able to make, the cities we're going to visit, the people we're going to come across, the alien races we're going to come across, the creatures we're going to come across. It's so awesome. Like, seriously, this is going to be an amazing game. And Risk It for the Biscuit here says, this is Todd's baby. This will be Bethesda DNA, top to bottom, with all the entails. There's no small about it. A culmination of 10 plus years, massive. Yeah, and well, I agree, Risk It. And that's the thing. Bethesda is not just going light on this game. When is the last time we've seen Bethesda, or have they ever did a weekly series leading up to a game? I don't remember them doing something like this.
It's hard to remember back.
Yeah,
to, like,
it
last
is
main game, because Fallout 76 was so different.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing like that. But
in the PR for Bethesda, like, they were pretty upfront about, like, this is not a full on Fallout 5 type experience. So, I'm not sure. But I know they're super excited about this, because this is a big thing. You have to look at Starfield like when they unrolled Skyrim in 2011. You have to think about Starfield when they unrolled Fallout 4 in 2015. Remember that E3 when they showed it, they said, and it's coming out this year.
Yep.
Here's another funny tidbit. I talked about this on Twitter today for anybody who follows me. I get a lot of comments on my Starfield video from 3 weeks ago where people say, oh, these games look like trash. Todd Howard, it just works. And to make everybody laugh, the "it just works" quote is literally from E3 for Fallout 4 when he showed the building functions, the building mechanics where you could build your base, and you could snap together the floors and the walls. And he says, this just works.
And it does.
It just works. And everyone uses that as like a bad bullet against Todd, but they're literally referring to the building mechanics, which had some problems.
No, they worked. Those building mechanics worked. I put so many hours into Fallout 4.
You could wire things. You could set up generators and defenses, and you could decorate things almost any way you wanted. You could put things on the ceiling, on the walls. You could it was really cool.
If you played Fallout 4 and you didn't really dive into the building aspect, you missed out. Seriously, I put a lot of hours. It
added
into
like
just
20
building.
hours to your gameplay easily.
Colt,
enjoyable stuff.
No, I'm embarrassed to say it probably added 50 for me. And I added so many buildings that I just ran out of hard drives or memory. It wouldn't let me build anymore. There was a memory limit.
On console, there's a memory limitation per settlement. But
so I made these cool buildings, these cool things you can run tunnels through. You had so many defenses and turrets and stuff like that. And I put them up on an old YouTube channel. It's still there, by the way. But there's my bases there and everything, and they're really cool, man. And I thought that was a great aspect of that game. I'd love to see something like that come back.
I got to tell a quick story about how immersive and amazing Fallout 4 is. You have to kind of imagine that Starfield's going to be, there's 5 years of evolution that will be pushed into Start. Remember, like I said, think of the jump from Skyrim to Fallout 4. Think about what Fallout 4 will be, a jump to Starfield. So I built one of my main bases at the Red Rocket right next to Sanctuary.
Yeah, I did the same thing. That's one of mine.
I mean, everybody probably did at first, right? And so I put these bookshelves up because I saw somebody posted a picture on social media. So I put these bookshelves up inside Red Rocket, and I would use the mechanic where you carry something, where you have to where you interact and it floats.
Yeah.
And I painstakingly collected one of every gun. And I had 2 main bookshelves overlooking the window or where the gas pumps were. This story's worth it. So anyway, I painstakingly would bring weapons, set them on the ground, pick them up in the right orientation, and lay them on the bookshelf side by side. Machine gun, shotgun, pistol, all the variants, rocket launcher, mini nuke. And I had 2 bookshelves covering with full of guns, like this cool display, like an awesome gun shop. And I'm in there messing around with it, and I hear your base under attack, and the brutes come in, the super mutants, the brutes. Sorry, I might have been playing a game that has brutes in it. So anyway, the super mutants come in and they always come with a nuke super mutant. I can't remember what they're called. The beep, beep, beep. And
yeah,
they
I know
run
which
in,
ones you're talking about. They run
shooting them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The I can't remember what they're called.
They run in and just explode on you.
So
yeah.
the nuke brute came in right up to my window and exploded. And all of those guns that I spent like 2 hours setting there, they flew all down the halls into the garage. And I'm like, no.
All that time spent. No. Yeah.
Because they were physically laying there. And a stiff wind would blow the guns around because of the way the physics work.
Yeah.
The guns were strewn everywhere. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. I picked them all up, slowly walked over and just dropped them in my inventory and
that's the thing. Even though the game didn't have as good a story as 3, it didn't, have certain things that were as good as 3. It still was such a fun game. I remember the exact amount of hours I put on to it on the PS4, and that was 259 on Fallout 4.
Gosh.
Yeah. 50 of those at least were just building stuff, man. I was just constantly like tearing stuff down because, again, the memory. I'd find another cool spot to build. So I would tear apart my old building and just make new ones. And I had a blast playing that game. And yes, I did beat the game. I didn't just play Barbie build a house, game here. I actually
gotta
played the
say
game.
that people, it's so weird how they look back and they start making excuses because they act like Fallout 4 is trash. And Fallout 4 is not the best Fallout. No, it is so dang good. Like
it is.
You and I, it's Fallout New Vegas and then Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And Fallout 4 is great, but it's so weird how they act like Bethesda games are trash. Yes, Skyrim's been resold to us 1.9 million times, right?
Yeah.
And yes, Skyrim is old and outdated.
But there's a reason why it's sold to us at 1.9 million times, because it's bought 1.9 million times. Donnie Quisada says the lore of the space outpost seems really interesting to him. And I agree 100%. And that's the thing, like going back to Starfield real quick. I know we're getting off on a tangent with Fallout 4, but that's because we love Bethesda games. And this is just a testament to it. Like me and Colt, when we talk about Bethesda, it's not because, Xbox has them and they're exclusive. No. We talk about the games because we love the games. So, yes, a lot of people would tell me, don't get excited for this game. We don't know much about this game. How could you be excited? Because I love Bethesda games.
Never get excited for a movie trailer. Never get excited for a TV show about a character you really like. Never get excited about a meal that looks good on a menu. Never get excited.
Yeah, exactly.
I get where you're coming from.
My boy Hargeet again with the 2 here says, I hope we don't end up overhyping it. You know what? I understand the overhype, how it could happen. But even with Cyberpunk, I hyped that thing to death. And I still loved it. I still had a great time with it. So for me personally, maybe I overhyped it to other people that may not have liked it so much, maybe. But for me, I didn't overhype it. I love the game. I love Bethesda games, so I'm not overhyping anything. I'm excited. That's all.
Don't worry about other people. Hype levels, right?
Yeah.
If Fonz has a certain amount of hype for it, if he's at a 7.6 at a hype meter, I'm not going to tell him to bring it down, but now if Fonz is out there saying it's going to be a 9 point, it's going to be a 98 meta, I might tell him, hey, let's, that's something that you can actually measure. But
no, I think hype with me is more excitement. I'm just excited for this game. Gone Mad says, mix a little Wasteland 3 with Outer Worlds and a Miss Dash of Morrowind.
Mrs. Dash.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of like that. But Wasteland 3, what about Wasteland 3 do you want to be mixed in there? Because I'm not too familiar with Wasteland 3, but isn't that an isometric sort of top-down?
Yeah, and Wasteland 3 is weighs heavily on your choice, which Fallout
there you
done.
go. There you go. That's what I'd like.
Jez Corden's talked about it quite a bit, how you make decisions and they, stuff will start happening and changing before your eyes. So, that's a game that I probably need to play, but we'll get to it.
Hey, so speaking about that quote by Todd Howard earlier, Philly Eagle has a good point. He says people are always taking one-liners and misusing them. So
absolutely,
they do it all the time, Philly.
Yeah, like the
So
Phil
right.
doesn't believe in exclusives thing when he was literally talking about expansions and map expansions and DLC being hidden exclusive and cutting off customers from like the total community. But people just use that stuff to their benefit.
Yeah, and mostly it's just kind of fanboy nonsense, or just especially now with the whole
exclusive
thing we got going on now with Xbox. Gone Mad says late game in Fallout 3, I would empty all of my storage in Megaton House, set mines, and shoot rocket launchers with hardly any FPS after that.
Oh my gosh,
that's how it was back. Again, console limitations. We don't have that with even with the PS5. We don't have that. Like we can do so much more with these games, and we haven't even scratched the surface, have we, Colt? Like these developers aren't really even scratching the surface. And we were talking about this yesterday on Go Live about how Unreal 5 hasn't been used yet, really, not at all in any game yet.
Yeah.
So
I mean, nobody wants to hear this, but game developers are still going to shoot for the same scope and design language and design limitations as they have last generation. It'll take a little while before everything finally gets to where you sit down at the whiteboard in a conference room and say, what can we do knowing that all these consoles have this type of power, this type of memory pool? What can we do that we couldn't do before? And I don't think you didn't see that with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You're not going to see it with Starfield. You're probably not going to see it till midway or later in the generation. But the funny thing is, games are still amazing, immersive, and do things that you didn't think. I mean, we've played games like we played Red Dead Redemption, which is made for an Xbox One and the best PC that anybody could build for $500. No, but like
for $500,
you have to keep in perspective that games can be absolutely amazing, and you never have to know that they didn't break the limitations of what modern hardware can do. It's really up to developers to create that just where they suspend your disbelief, where you hide things in loading screens, like we talked about. The way you take off from a planet and go to the next planet, if you can make it feel like you're really doing it and you're not just looking at a load screen, because I think Outer Worlds didn't do that very well, but like Mass Effect does it great, and just the way that
I think No Man's Sky did a pretty good job at doing that as well.
No Man's Sky made it like it was really happening. Yeah. And of course, it would take months and months at light speed to get to another planet, right? But they make you wait of several minutes, and you're actually physically if you probably looked at that map, if you could just populate it, the planets would be really close together in the grand scheme of real life. But you do feel like you're actually flying somewhere. So they do that very well, and they did it on a base PS4 and base Xbox One. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And I don't know this the quote verbatim, but I do know that Todd in the last update video, he did mention something about how, like, when you first okay, so in Oblivion, you're in the sewers and you come out for the first time and you see the open world and you get that feeling that oh my gosh, I get to just go wherever I want here, and you have that grandiose moment. He says there's 2 of those moments in this game. 2.
Hey, I love that. Yeah, hold on 1 second. UWU said, guys, he literally said it just works for Todd Howard. He literally said it just works in 16 times the detail and hyping up Fallout 76, even before Bethesda was acquired. No, it just works was literally, like I said half an hour ago, from Fallout 4 building mechanics at E3 summer. It was like June 2015. So people have been using the it just works as toxic ammo for a while. Know Your Meme, check it out.
Know Your Meme
materials, everything snaps in. But
hey, this is
16 times detail was Fallout 76, and we already said that game does not look like. No.
Hey, let's end that on a positive note here. Jason Netnin here says, "Hey, Fonzarelli and Colt Eastwood, love the content. Keep up the awesome work. Smash that like button." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you were saying one thing right before I can't remember what you were saying right before I interrupted you.
I was talking about Todd Howard. He says there's 2 moments where you just have that grandiose moment where you just like see something, the world for the first time. You get 2 of those moments, man.
I'm predicting that is early in the game. You leave Earth to become an explorer. And so the first time you step outside the ship that you own, I think that might be one moment. Yeah. What do you think the second moment would be?
You know, got to shout out Zocker87, our buddy over there at RDX. He mentioned that he thinks the second moment, because he says that's probably the first moment, which I agree with. He says the second moment is probably the first time you touch down on a new planet.
Yeah, I think
so.
And
I think that's probably it as well. Or maybe the first time you go out into space in your ship. How about that?
Now it's probably a new planet. And the first, I was thinking that when you were talking about Zocker's idea.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
The first
How about
time
like first time you see space
to a new planet, and the first time you step out to do a spacewalk, which is, if you played Prey, that is a cool, crazy, eerie, freaky moment. So
see, that's what I'm talking about. This game could be phenomenal. We've been talking about this game so long already, Colt, but we have to get to PlayStation here. So PlayStation has this new service that's codenamed Spartacus. Well, it's a rumored service coming in spring times, apparently. According to Jason Schreier out of Forbes magazine, he's saying that this is possibly coming in springtime, and we don't know the name of it so far, codenamed Spartacus. Colt, it sounds like they're combining PS Now with PS Plus, and they're going to have a 3-tiered system here, and also have back-compat nostalgic games on the 3rd tier, I believe, the most expensive. We don't have any prices or anything like that, but it's going to be, of course, it's going to be 3 different prices there. Do you think this is their answer to Game Pass?
I thought it was, but no, it isn't. And I'm really scratching my head about the PlayStation 1, 2, and Vita stuff. Unless Sony, like, remember when they did the back compat on PS3? They literally put PS3s in data centers, and then you stream from them. You have to wait in a queue because they don't have a lot of hardware and a big server setup. I don't understand how they're ready to grab PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 hardware and take it apart and put it into data centers, or if they've contracted with a major manufacturing company to rebuild what is essentially a PS2 board and start pumping those out and getting those ready for server rack. Like, I don't know how they're ready for that without us hearing about it before. And there's no day and date. So I've always thought, I always thought if PlayStation wants to win everything.
I'm sorry. I read this. Philly Eagle says, rumor is it's codenamed Spartacus since Phil is affectionately referred to as Dominus.
He is.
That would be hilarious. Yeah, Philly, that's hilarious, man. That's freaking hilarious.
Philly's awesome.
Yeah.
The best way for them to win this subscription thing is to take PlayStation Plus and have a second tier that includes day and date exclusives. And then they've already taken care of, you just download it none of it, because it's not streamed. And then you already have almost 50 million PlayStation Plus users. If you say, hey, for you're paying like $6 a month for PlayStation Plus, if you pay the full price, if you play $5 more a month, which is around $10, you can have 4 free games with PlayStation Plus a couple of VR games, and every new exclusive that comes in. And almost everybody would go in.
Of course they would. I would go in. But I don't think they're going to do day and date for quite some time. I think what this is it's a stepping stone. I think this is a way to start their service, and they're going to use nostalgia because it's a hell of a drug. We know that, Colt. They're going to use nostalgia to get people in, a lot of people in, because people will play old games. Contrary to what a lot of fanboys say, they do play old games. They want to play old games. They talk about it. It's just crazy. It destroys so many narratives. It really does, Colt. You know, it's not sustainable, a service like this. Well, why are they doing it then? Because
who plays old games comes from PlayStation guys saying that because they can't. So who plays old games? Well, they aren't. That's where it comes from.
And a lot of them are upset. Well, I won't say a lot. I've seen a few upset about this being their back compat games being locked behind a paywall, so to speak.
Yeah.
They can't play their disc
for 5,
and
6 years.
Yeah, but you know what? It's the hardware limitation. And that's the one thing I wanted to ask Chris today. If he was on, I wanted to ask about the development side of things, because some people are under the assumption that these games won't just be streamable, but I think that's all they can be, because I don't think they could emulate or they would emulate. They would use emulation, but I don't think the hardware could be used to play those old games.
It could. I mean, there's you have 15-year-old kids making Raspberry Pi 3 emulators and putting PlayStation 1 and 2 games on it.
Yeah, but they're emulators.
They absolutely could.
Yeah, but that's emulation. I'm talking about like at a hardware level. You can't play your PlayStation 1 disc or your PlayStation 2 disc or PlayStation 3. You're not going to be able to do that. With
emulation, you can. I mean, you can play 10 million times more PlayStation games on an Xbox Series S than you can on like
so you're saying they'll be able to download these games, or is it just going to be through a cloud service?
All PlayStation has to do is hire a team or build up a team that will do software game emulation on those modern CPUs and bring them in, and you would play the game natively on the console because it would run on the hardware through emulation.
Yeah, it's all emulation now, but
there's no lag. It's works.
But the thing is everybody's under the assumption that these games, the PS1, PS2, and PS3 games are all going to be in a cloud-based service.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fonz. I think they can do it natively through emulation. And I'll tell you what PlayStation needs to do right away. They should have done this years ago. I had my channel around doing gaming stuff for like 5 years, and nobody used to watch my stuff, but I did a video back in 2015 that's like 50,000 views where I said, because PlayStation Now is new, and I said they need to unlock all those games for anyone that owns them via PlayStation Plus, or if they happen to own them digitally, because some people bought digital games on PS3.
They need to do that, yeah.
You need to log into PlayStation Now, and if you know you own a game and you load up Red Dead Redemption 1, it would look at your account on PSN and say, well, Colt Eastwood obviously owns this game digitally from PlayStation Plus, or he bought it from our store because we have all your information.
But you can't do that with
get access. You don't have to play for PlayStation Plus because that's a game you own.
But you can't do that.
The paywall's gone for back and pat.
But you can't do that with a PS1 game or a PS2 game.
No, because those were never digital.
Yeah.
But they've been doing PS3 games for 5 years, and they've been locking games that you already own.
So there will be games there in the PS1 and PS2 generation that you're not going to be able to do that with. Like, you're not going to be able to say, hey, I own this game. They're going to have to put that behind a paywall. You're going to have to buy it again. Unless they have some sort of way you can put in your disc and it shows.
That Xbox looks at your account and says, you have, what's the word?
But how did they know that you own, say, Morrowind?
If it's on disc?
Oh, if you had it on disc and put it in there, does it recognize the disc and say, okay, you had that game and you owned it?
You put a disc
so the PlayStation would be able to do that. They should.
It should be able to do that, yes. But the problem is, Zucker explains this really well. PlayStation Network has set up, they weren't forward thinking. So it's one of the reasons why it took them so long for you to change your PlayStation ID, because they assign a number or something like that to your username, and then you just can't, it just doesn't come forward. Something like that. I'm probably messing that up, but the way that Xbox does it with your name, everything is just carries forward. It looks at the cloud, looks at your save, fetches your save for you. It knows your entitlement's the word. It gets you your entitlement for any games that you own. And that's what Phil's been talking about. The entitlement. You put in a game, or you play a game that you own it in the ecosystem. You can play it here, here, and here. And that's what they've been doing. But PlayStation isn't set up that way. Sounds like Spartacus might be a move toward letting people play games that they played before, but I don't know about that paywall. Yeah,
Christopher Hart says Sony already allows native downloads from PS Plus and PS Now. We know that, but I'm talking about those really old games that aren't there for download. I think the really old games, are they downloadable on the PS Now service, or are those just streamable? I don't know about that.
PlayStation Now, there's like nearly half of those titles are downloadable.
Okay.
They're not just streamable.
Okay, so it won't
It's
just
been like that for a couple, three years.
So
probably.
why are people jumping the gun and saying that it's going to be, all these old nostalgic games are going to be just streamable, and that's it for this new service? I don't know. I don't understand that.
Well, because I mean, that seems like the logical way that PlayStation would go about it right now, because Xbox says we put hardware in the data center. We haven't heard that from PlayStation. So
so you're saying
either
that
they're
they
going
might
to do emulation, or they're going to do,
and that hardware in the data center takes chips, and we're on a shortage. So yeah, that's going to be hard to do, especially now when they can't even keep up with demand with the PS5. So,
but really, Fonz, what I think, the emulation thing is the only thing that throws a curveball as far as being a Game Pass competitor. We've all said, is this the Game Pass competitor? Because Jim Ryan said like 6 months ago that we're working on a competitor to Game Pass. Well, this isn't it. They're building up something. They're trying to find what sticks.
I think this is his. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think this is his answer. This is his competition to Game Pass. You're just saying it's not. It's not competition.
Well, I mean, the smarter than me outlets, the many smarter than me outlets, like Paul Tassi from Forbes wrote an entire article about why he describes why, from all the information he's gathered, that it is not a Game Pass competitor. It's just more tiers to give more options.
Yeah, because number one, there's no day and date. All right, with PlayStation 5 games.
Yeah.
There's no day and date. So that automatically makes it not a Game Pass competitor, in my opinion, because if there's no day and date with PS5, I'm not buying into it. I'm just not. And there's a lot of people out there like me that buy into Game Pass for that sole reason alone, for the day and date. I love having that. If day and date really wasn't there, I'd be, I probably wouldn't be a Game Pass member. Probably wouldn't.
I bought an entire year of PlayStation Plus when I got my PS5 for $30, like half price. So I'm just going to hold on to that. That's good enough for me for right now.
So I think eventually they will go in day and date. We were talking about that earlier. It's going to be years and years. I think it's going to be towards the end of the generation, if they even do that. I do think they'll do some day and date with smaller titles, not the God of Wars, not the, Horizons. You might see a Ratchet and Clank game or something even smaller. A House Smart game, go day and date sooner than you would see a God of War is what I'm saying. So in a couple of years, you might see the smaller titles go day and date, or you might see even some of the bigger titles go day and date with PC because it doesn't really infringe on the console market.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they're in a tough situation because they sell every single console that comes out that can't keep up with demand. And they have every right to want to do day and date ASAP, not to wait. There's no real incentive for them to slowly warm up their diehard fans to the idea of day and date, because even the most diehard fans, maybe some people that would call you and I, insults and names, right, Fonz? Even those people, they would have to admit that if there was a day and date service, they would look at the numbers and go, "Oh, I'll save money immediately." Okay. And they would be on it.
Yeah. Philly Eagle brings up a good point. He says, once they get to the point where their PC game sales match or surpass the console game sales, then they'll do that day and date. But here's the thing. I think they already do.
Yeah.
I think the PC gamers already buy more games than the console gamers do.
Yeah, like what did Horizon Zero Dawn sell when it went on Steam? It was like the top selling game.
Yeah, and I think what's even the game that didn't do too well for them. What was the other one? Days Gone. Days Gone didn't do enough for PlayStation, but it sold well on PC. Sold a lot better on PC apparently. So I don't know. I could see games like Doom Reaper said here. Returnal. I was talking about how smart games probably going day and date with PC or even PS5. They might even do that. A game like Returnal. I could see that. I could totally see that. But God of War, Spider-Man, those really top selling games that are selling 20 plus million copies, you probably won't see that day and date for quite some time. I'm talking years if they go day and date, if at all. But it's good that they're making this service. I think that this service is a good thing, honestly, because they're just offering more choice to gamers. They're giving these 3 tiers, and I'm sure they're going to start out at the bottom where it's just basically paying the same PS Plus account, and then they're giving you 2 other options. There's nothing wrong with options, right?
Yeah. That's good. It's what's pushing the market.
Yep. It's pushing the market. Anyways, we've come to the end of the show, man. It flew way fast.
Yeah, it did.
Dang, we had a good time, though. Colt, I want to thank you for showing up today and talking with me about these games and these topics. I really was at a loss, didn't know what we were going to do. But hey, we were able to get through a pretty good show, I should say so myself. And tell everybody out there where they can find you and what you'll be releasing soon.
Yeah, I've got a lot of work ahead of me today, but I'm Colt Eastwood, and you can find me at Colt Eastwood on Twitter and YouTube. And midnight of all times.
People.
I don't know why. Midnight, I'll have a video up. So if you're in the US, when you wake up, you might have a little notification on your phone. Who knows? But it's going to be a really exciting time. And if you're a big Xbox fan, I think Monday morning, there'll be a lot of good buzz and a lot of people talking. And the Metacritic war.
Ooh, the
Metacritic war.
Real quick, before we go, give me your prediction on Metacritic score for Halo Infinite.
Oh, gosh.
Not your score,
yeah,
the
I know.
Metacritic score.
I think the score will be solely on the campaign tomorrow. I think that's what Metacritic will reflect. Yeah, it's really tough. If I say this, it's kind of give you an idea, but I think you want me to give you a number? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Give me a number.
Okay, I'll help out some of you fans who are really like looking forward to having a day where you just do backflips all day. I don't think that it's going to hit 90 or 91. I think it's going to be closer to 86 or 88 as we get midday on the reviews. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? For fear of backlash, I'll give my, no, you know what? I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it now. I think it's going to hit about an 80. That's where I'm going.
Oh, what? An 80?
An 80.
Oh my gosh.
I think the campaign's going to hit an 80.
No, but everybody has their predictions. Yeah.
No, we'll find out. I'm sure
gosh.
the chat's going to go nuts over that. But you know what? 80 is a great score. 80 is awesome. 80 is a great game. And 80, look, an 80 can still be a banger. Can still be a banger.
Sorry, your mic broke up a little bit there.
What's wrong with 80? Everybody downs games at 70 now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know they do.
It'll hit.
I played it. I'm just kind of going.
Yeah, Astri, I said yesterday between 78 and 80, but I'm going with 80. I think it'll hit at least 80. It'll hit it. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for the chat for coming out today, and thanks to you for listening to this. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. Thank you very much, people. And until next time, game on.